Good afternoon and welcome to the Monday, September 16th, 2019 meeting of the Parks and Rec Commission of Glendale, City of Glendale. Roll call.
Commissioners Babayan, absent. Eberly? Present. Kalfayan?
Present.
Michaels?
Present.
President Pro Tem Wolfson.
Present.
The agenda for the September 16, 2019 regular meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on or before Friday, September 13, 2019. Item 2, upcoming council agenda items.
Thank you. President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the Commission, on September 24th, we will be going to council for an authorization to destroy certain community service and parks department records, documents, and papers. On October 1st, we will have a study session and an update on the Fremont Park renovation project at 3 p.m. This is a afternoon meeting. At the 6 o'clock meeting on October 1st, we'll have Mosaic Art Project at Duke-Majan Wilderness Park through Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation. And the third item would be authorization for the purchasing administrator to bid out for Maple Park fencing.
Okay, next item.
Next item 3, commission staff comments.
Does anybody have any comments on the commission?
Can I ask you about the Fremont Park? Didn't we finish renovating that park recently?
President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the Commission, the design documents, the construction documents are ready. They're 100% approved. We are pulling the permits. We will be going to council as a study session, information only, to let them know where we are on the project, and we'll be requesting funding. We need some additional funds. So we'll be requesting funding and giving them an update on the project itself.
Funds from where?
CIP fund balance.
CIP.
Yes.
Can I make a request around that? I was looking at the materials that you provided, and I'd really love to get in close on the map that is large because it's an image in the document. Is there a way we can link to a larger image so that we can look around in it?
President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of Commission, Commissioner Eberly, as part of our presentation for capital improvement projects, we'll have a slide. Hopefully it'll give you a bigger sense. It's a larger sense you can do. We can also email that to you so you could zoom in. As we get to that slide, I'll make sure to kind of highlight some of the changes that we're going to see in the master plan process that was approved a couple of years ago.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the Commission, I do have some announcements to make, upcoming events. On September 18, we have the 4th Annual Glendale Tech Job Fair at the Glendale Central Library from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The Glendale Continuum of Care Board meeting will be held on September 18 at 2 p.m. at City Hall Human Resources Training Room. We are offering a CDBG open house to those who are interested in applying for CDBG funds on September 19 from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Adult Recreation Center. We'll have a Wilderness Workday on September 21st, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Duke-Majan Wilderness Park. The first Maple Inclusive Play Day will be held on September 21st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Maple Park's All-Inclusive Playground. The Glendale Continuum of Care will be having a meeting on September 23rd at 1:30 p.m. in the Police Community Room. We're offering Teen Night Out on September 27 from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Pacific Community Center, along with a teen workshop on leadership development at Pacific Community Center that same evening at 6 p.m. The Days of the Verdugos Heritage Association is offering or is putting on a Fiesta Cita on September 28th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Catalina Verdugo Adobe. Street Food Cinema is back in Glendale in September, has been back in September. On September 28th at Central Park, they'll be showing Up. It's the 10th anniversary of that movie. We're having a community meeting, How to Improve Your Neighborhood, on October 3rd from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Pacific Community Center. We have a Parents' Night Out at Spar Heights Community Center on October 4th from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Trails and Open Space program is having an urban history hike entitled History Highlights of Downtown Glendale on October 5th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., starting at Chess Park. And we're having an emergency preparedness event on October 5th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the police community room. We have another teen night out on October 11th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Pacific Community Center. And a Riverwalk workday on October 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Glendale Narrows Riverwalk. The CDBG Advisory Committee will be meeting on October 14th at 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. Trails and Open Space is also offering Wilderness Workday on October 19th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's a volunteer opportunity at Dugmajan Wilderness Park. And we're having our annual Fall Festival at Pacific Park on October 19th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Shosean Whispering Pine Tea House will be having an anime, manga, and cosplay, modern Japanese art, action, and play event on October 20th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then we're back here for our next Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Commission meeting on October 21st at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The director may refer the matter to the proper section for investigation and report.
Okay, I have 2 speaker cards. The first one is from Diana Walker.
Please state your name for the record when you come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Yes, Diana Walker. Well, I'm here to discuss the park that we have in the Glen Oaks Canyon, and was hoping that I could be one that contribute to encouraging the city to maybe upgrade some of the play equipment that's there, maybe a little bit more shade for kids, because I take my grandson there, and of course it's really hot in the summer, and it's hot for the kids out there and for the parents or grandparents that are sitting out there to sit with no shade. Also, our Joe Bridges Clubhouse, it desperately needs to be modernized. We have a lot of meetings in there, and just kind of the pride of ownership that we'd like to see at that community center for our canyon. So I'm hoping that my voice will encourage this to be done. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And our second speaker is Audrey Zarokian.
Hi, I'm Audrey Zarokian. I'm a Glen Oaks Canyon HOA board member and a Glen Oaks Canyon resident. And I'm here today to request some upgrades and changes to Glen Oaks Park, as well as a clubhouse, and to request regular maintenance of the trees and landscaping at Glen Oaks Park. I'm here representing some of my neighbors, because most who are interested can't be here at 2:30 on a Monday, so they're either working or picking up their kids from school, etc. So I'll start with the playground. The playground equipment is in direct sunlight for almost the entire day, as Diana Walker just mentioned, especially the swing set, which gets no shade at all. So kids don't use the swing sets as often as they would like, because it's just extremely hot. Therefore, we are requesting shade over the playground equipment. In addition, the current playground equipment is not something suitable or desirable for the older children. Although the sign at the park says that the equipment is for older children, I have noticed in my own kids and my friends' kids, they don't, if they're over 6, they don't play. It's mainly kids who are ages 6 and younger that use both of the equipment at the park. So we'd like to get some equipment that's more challenging and stimulating. We'd like to get some monkey bars or something similar, perhaps. The goal should be to try and get older children, ages 7 and up, to want to go to the park, to leave the iPads and the iPhones and electronic devices at home and go and be active, and to have playground equipment that would entice and challenge them at our local park. There is space enough to have structures that would be suitable for both younger and older children. There's currently a very large sandbox, which I just recently realized it's actually supposed to double as a volleyball court, but in the last 8 years that I've lived there and used the park, I have never seen anybody put up a net and play volleyball. So it's just a huge oversized sandbox. But there is adjoining the sandbox, there is a half-size basketball court with one hoop that does get used very often. So we believe the huge sandbox could be put to better use. We ask that the sandbox be either eliminated completely to make room for more playground equipment, or to be downsized to make room for a larger basketball court with an additional hoop. Joe Bridges Clubhouse, well, it's looking quite run down from the exterior and is not befitting the neighborhood at all. We'd like to request some aesthetically pleasing architectural elements to be added to the exterior, a new paint job on the interior and the exterior, and some upgrades on the interior, including new flooring. And definitely re-landscaping around the perimeter of the clubhouse to hide utility boxes and to add some beauty to the building. Next, it's the item of the falling tree branches. The city does not seem to be regularly maintaining and trimming the trees. In the last 4 weeks, 3 large tree branches have broken off and fallen over 10 feet to the ground during daytime park hours. I was present when one of them happened, which was the catalyst to come here and speak up and see what you guys are willing to do about this. I know that there's currently a lawsuit because a boy broke his arm last year when a tree branch fell at Glen Oaks Park on him during a birthday party. If I was able to share the photos, I actually have a photo of a tree branch that fell Saturday, and there was a birthday party and balloons and a little baby car seat nearby. So these are things that the city should be considering, maintain the trees at the park. So there is also another item. The city should be trimming low-hanging tree branches that are just a few feet above picnic tables. Why? Because last weekend, when I was at the park with my family, another family had their portable barbecue grill sitting on top of the picnic table with open flames less than 4 feet away from the low-hanging pine tree branch. There were dry pine needles hanging off the branch, and this could have gone south very quickly. I approached the man and pointed out my concern and the high risk of fire, but he didn't seem to care, and he continued barbecuing. So please address our concerns regarding falling tree branches that are low-hanging and could be potential fire hazard in the canyon. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the commission. Couple comments. As for the playground, we'll submit a CIP project for next fiscal year and prioritize to see if we can get a new playground there with a shade structure. No promises. It all depends on the funding that we have in terms of CIP and also the different type of CIP projects that we'll be submitting, because we will be submitting a number of CIP projects throughout our department. In terms of the trees, the tree trimming, I know Mr. Panosian talked to our Assistant Director of Public Works who oversees the tree section, and they'll be out there within the next couple of weeks, hopefully trimming the trees. Our tree contractor, WCA, will be out there and assessing the trees in the area. As for the Joe Bridges Clubhouse, we'll be looking into some minor improvements. Landscaping, maybe some painting interior and exterior. In terms of flooring, we would have to get back to commission on that.
Anybody else want to say anything about?
Well, is there, with the CIP funds, is there a projected, I believe the term might be reserve study, of what projects are coming forward, what the useful life of many of the playground equipments are for all of the parks? I'd be interested in seeing a look that's a little more proactive rather than reactive, and be able to try and forecast further out to where we address things before we get complaints and hear of problems.
Yes, President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the commission, regarding playgrounds, we do have an inventory of all of our playgrounds. We try to go backwards to what is the oldest and most used playground and have a plan to replace at least 1 or 2, depending on the size. A facility such as Glen Oaks is a decent-sized playground, so you could be looking at about a $350,000 project at minimum. Add the shade, it can be upwards of a little higher than that because you're going to include the shade. So as part of our plan going forward, we're going to put that in to see whether or not that can get approved. We actually have playgrounds that are 18 plus years old that are still in the system, yet they are of decent shape and condition that we try and extend the life as best as possible. Hence, right now, Glen Oaks was not in the mix of the playgrounds that we've been looking at this past couple of years. And we do every year look at doing 1 or 2 playgrounds. As I mentioned, as you know, we just replaced the Maple Park playground. We have upcoming the Heritage Garden playground as approved by commission that will be replaced in the near future as well. And as it relates to the sandbox areas or whatnot, I think we can look at that as consideration when we look at planning for the next playground, look at incorporating some of those areas as well to see about making a larger play area, which of course, depending on how large you go, the cost will increase. Create a 2 to 5 year old tot lot area as well as a 5 to 12 year old children's play area, so you can have a larger group of activities. And traditional playgrounds have been very non-challenging per se, but there are a lot of manufacturers now that are creating the challenging playgrounds. If you look at Car Park, what an active and challenging playground that is, we'll be looking at those types of playgrounds in the future to challenge our children to their best of abilities. And as Mr. Bulanik already mentioned, we're looking at the landscaping later down the road. It'll be part of our projects to incorporate landscaping around the perimeter of the jewel bridges and some of the upgrades you already mentioned. So we'll be looking at all of those coming up.
Would there be a report that would come back to the commission that would just assess those priorities that we could put out to the public so that they see the entire process?
Is it related to just Glen Oaks Park or overall capital projects?
Overall capital improvements.
Overall capital improvement projects, we go through City Council for their approval, and I'll leave it up to Onig as far as the process of having commission input in that as well.
President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the commission, we can come to to commission maybe a month before the budget process starts. The thing with the budget, deadlines are changed on a weekly basis. So for us to submit a report and things change, it can change one week and something else can change another week. So I would probably come after the budget has been approved as an information-only report to let commission know what projects have been approved for the following fiscal year.
Well, I am aware of the constraints with the budget. I would be looking more at a planning report to have an opportunity for public input as to assess priorities for playgrounds and projects, as opposed to the budgeting process.
I was wondering, you alluded to the inventory of all the playground equipment. Is there any way that we on the commission could see that?
Absolutely, that is a document we have literally sitting on my desktop right now. We can share that with commission. It is public information, what playgrounds we have. It lists the facility, the type of playground it is, the manufacturer, the type of surfacing, and the year it was installed.
Because I think that would probably be very helpful for us to get the broader picture and have a better understanding of how we're doing, allocating our resources and so on. The other thing I wanted to comment on is the trees and the branches and the suggestion that there's danger and all of that. And I wonder, that would be something that I would feel like would be really important for us to be proactive about. Because it's a safety issue, and to me that's the most important, in a way, aspect of the situation. We certainly don't need a fire to start in the park in Glen Oaks Canyon, especially given what's happened recently.
Yeah, President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the commission, absolutely, safety is also our number one priority. Unfortunately, we cannot control individuals who tend to use the park not as it's meant to be. Having barbecues on picnic tables, of course, adds to the risk. But we have already work order in. We've asked Forestry Department of Public Works to look at the trees, assess them, and it won't be done, unfortunately, immediately because they have to plan it out and schedule it along with all of the other tree work that's in the system as they manage park trees as well as the street trees. But the trees of the last conversation I had with Ms. Zarokian about a month and a half ago, we immediately sent the request to have Public Works look at them. They've looked at it, and it should be in their work plan in the coming weeks.
And then, as a practical matter, if somebody's in the park and they see something like that that's hazardous, what should they do? I mean, just
The President Pro Tem Wolfson, they can definitely call our offices, 818-548-2000 or 818-548-2054. The second number is the maintenance yard. We'll take note of the facility, and we will immediately place a work order. If it's, we'll have somebody assess it immediately. If it's an urgent matter, something hanging, we'll address it. But if it is something that can wait and get a work order in, we'll do that with forestry, have them take care of it. Usually, if a branch is down, our staff will take care of it because we don't want branches laying on the ground with children playing around. That's normal process. We get the call, we put in a work order, we handle it in-house as soon as we can.
And if it's a weekend or sometime when the office is not open, is there anything, what do you recommend?
We usually reach out to our weekend supervisor. His cell phone number doesn't come to mind right now, but we have Armin Tagakian, who is in the audience. He is our weekend supervisor. He oversees the entire park system, and he does address a number of emergency situations within the park, tree branches being down, reservation challenges and issues. And a lot of times we do get note of it. The tree branch that was down, as Ms. Zarokian mentioned at Glen Oaks Park, Armin was aware of it. They already had staff looking at that matter. So given that our staff visit the park once or twice per day, every facility on the weekends, sometimes we do notice it unless it is after hours and tends to wait till the next day sometimes.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, President Pro Tem Wilson, I think if it's on a weekend, like Coco mentioned, it is the weekend supervisor who the public may not have the phone number, but we do encourage them to just call PD if it's a hazardous or dangerous situation, because PD does know how to get a hold of staff immediately or address it with sending out an officer to take a look at it. So, because again, those phone numbers, it's during the week, so if we're not there immediately, we do encourage them to call PD, and if you call PD and say, potential fire hazard, I'm sure somebody's going to get there immediately to make sure that that person isn't doing what they're supposed to and or help us enforce the rules. As you are aware, PD does have suspension notices that they assist the department in making sure people are following the rules and regs within the department, so they could, if it's an egregious crime or some sort of rule that's being broken, they could also issue a suspension notice and address it that way. So that's another option, is if they can't get a hold of staff, to just call PD.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask what the general plan is for shade for the city going forward in all the parks? I know that the parks that are shady are very popular and that it's something that people ask for all the time. So I'm sure you have sort of a big picture plan for how you're going to work on that.
President Pro Tem Wilson, members of the commission, eventually, depending on funding, we would like to shade most of our playground structures.
But with shade structures or with trees or combination?
Structures or trees would be ideal. They're cheaper, but either trees or shade structures.
Yes.
But we are looking into planting more trees around our playgrounds.
Yes, to that regard, we do rely on trees a lot for our shade, especially for picnic areas, unless it is a sheltered picnic area. We rely a lot heavily on our trees. And our parks tend to be very forested. We have a lot of mature trees, which tend to, of course, come with the challenges of having to maintain those trees and, limb drop, summer limb drop that we experience. But, as far as the playgrounds go, yes, if we plant a tree now, by the time that tree shades the playground, our children are probably off to high school. So with that in mind, the future ones, we always look at the location and see whether a tree is already shading it, or like Mr. Bolikian said, some sort of shade would be more ideal to shade the playground areas.
Thank you.
All right. Next item.
Next is item 5, consent items. At A is approval of the minutes of the commission regular meeting held on August 19, 2019.
I'll move it.
Second.
We'll take roll call. Commissioners Babayan absent. Eberly?
Yes.
Kalfayan?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Wolfson?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is item 6, reports information only. At A, capital improvement program, CIP update.
President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of commission, we're going to be presenting the projects, capital improvement projects to you. And these are projects since our presentation last October. There will be some that were already completed. There are some that are in construction, others that are in planning phase, and a couple of them that are in the EIR phase. So we'll try and go through them all together with you. And if you have any questions throughout, please stop me so we can expand on the explanation of what is going on with those projects. First, this is the Glendale Narrows Riverwalk Phase 2 project. This project was completed October last year. It has been open for about a year. It's getting a lot of active use. What this project did is it extended Phase 1 by adding a bridge over the drainage culvert into what we call now through Flower Plaza into Confluence Park. So we extended it to a mile-long bike path, and then it added 2 parks, Flower Plaza and the Confluence Park at the end, where Verdugo Wash and the LA River meet. Here is a project. The picture on the left is Confluence Park, and the one on the right is where Flower Plaza is overlooking, well, overlooks to the left onto the LA River. Maple Park all-inclusive playground change inspiration. We talked about this already, and we presented this at our commission as a completed project. This was one of the first change inspiration all-inclusive playgrounds in the city of Glendale, completed in June, and we had the grand opening on August 17th. The project budget was $825,000, and this was paid for by Development Impact Fee funds. Here is a picture of the castle-themed playground. Central Library Demonstration Garden. Again, this was a capital improvement / park services project. We showed you a picture of this. The job was completed in July. Essentially, it increased landscaping at the Central Library. This segment of the library, the northwest section, was not part of the original landscaping for the Central Library plans. And we came as a team. Peter Verheilig from our project management team designed the landscape, and Park Services went through the implementation and the construction of the landscape. And if you haven't visited, please do so. This was a GWP funded project, hence we call it the Drought Tolerant Demonstration Garden, Glendale Water and Power funded. And every plant does have a wooden plaque attached to it, identify its species, as well as a QR where you can hold your phone to it. It leads you to a YouTube video explaining to you more what that plant is. So it's pretty cool. My first time actually having to deal with QRs, it was pretty interesting and educational. Sports complex concession building renovations. We are currently in construction. Construction started in July, and we're looking at completing mid-November. This project is renovating the HVAC system, upgrading the restrooms, the concession area, the outside trellis. We're actually putting in shade cloth in the trellis area to provide more shade for the athletes using that location, as well as doing some upgrades to the office areas, new flooring, and then painting the interior and exterior. And this project's budget is $490,000. Fremont Park renovation. Now, this is a project that was master planned, including commission input, including a number of outreach with the community. This was a project that was literally planned by the community at Fremont Park. Members came in and designed the park as they saw it best fitting the community as well as what the needs are. So we're going to have a brand new community building. The tennis clubhouse that is right now in a freestanding structure by the tennis courts, it will be incorporated, as well as a rentable space, a kitchenette, restrooms within the building, and office space for us to run some of our recreational programs. It will have a brand new artificial turf soccer field, a new splash pad. Right now we have a wading pool at Fremont Park. We're looking at splash pads being more popular or more active, so we'll be switching it to a much larger, very nice recyclable system splash pad. We're very excited about what's coming to Fremont Park. Barbecues, of course, addition of 26 parking spaces. You go anytime on a weekend and you will see how busy Fremont Park is. There is literally no space in the turf areas at Fremont Park. We'll be adding more picnic tables. We're going to be adding more structured picnic tables to allow for picnic parties, sheltered picnic. The 8 tennis courts will remain, but 4 of them will have to be removed to make way for a pass through Hans Road, additional parking spaces, another restroom building, lighting, a new children's playground. Where the basketball course, we're going to be painting over with pickleball, so our pickleball community can actually use the sites as well. So a lot of wonderful and great stuff will be coming to Fremont Park. We're looking at the construction to likely commence summer next year to kind of end of next year for construction. We are currently in the Plan check is done, almost permit phase. As Mr. Belikna mentioned, we'll be going to council in October to give them feedback, give an overview of the project, as well as ask for additional funding to be able to meet the demand for this project so we can see it through. Here's the concept plan. May I have, it shows better with the mouse.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Here we go. So the tennis courts, we're going to have 4 right over here and the 4 that are right here. Right now, if you go to the park, they are side by side in order to make room for the community building that is being built here and Hans Road to continue straight through, all the way through the back parking lot. The tennis courts have to be shifted. So there will be a large community building, as we mentioned, built here, along with the tennis concession offices, our recreation offices, and a restroom that is open to the public from the exterior of the building. Currently we have the Railroad Model Train Club. They have been there since the inception of the park, and they wanted to stay at that location. At that building, we're probably just going to be painting the exterior. The interior is designed and operated by this group, and if you've never been, every first Monday at 5 or 5:30, they have open house. The public is welcome to go see it. It is exceptional. It is worth seeing. They had the model of LA all the way to Bakersfield, the entire design of the train tracks, and it is just wonderful to see. Our garage, that is the maintenance garage, that is up in the very corner, it will remain. We'll just upgrade it to accommodate the needs. In this location, we're gonna, enhance the parking, add 26 additional parking spaces. We currently have a half basketball court in this location. The basketball court will be moved here, be a full court with pickleball painted over, so it can be used dual pickleball and basketball. And based on the community requests, we're actually gonna be putting lights so they can be played even in the evening. This is the artificial turf soccer field being placed at this location. I believe it will be a U12 artificial field. Currently, this area is turf and dirt combined because they do play actively here on the weekends. If it's already being played, we figured it's best to make it an official turf field so it can be programmed by our staff, and our staff will oversee it. It'll also have lighting, and it'll be likely busy all the time. The water splash pad, the children's play area for water splash pad is going to be moved right here down the middle, and a brand new children's playground will be built here, just the same size, if not larger than what we currently have. It's going to have a lot of trails, DG path, exercise, jogging path around the entire park. It'll have a safety police drive right through the park, so police are able to drive through, be able to look for activities that we tend not like in the park. It'll have enhancement to the landscape. It'll have another restroom structure being constructed here, and additional picnic shelters, groupings of picnic shelters here and over here as well. Of course, as with it, it's going to come some art elements. We'll have a couple of locations dedicated for art pieces in the park, and we'll be working with Library Arts and Culture Department to determine what type of art to go in this facility. I mean, that is a summary of the site's improvements. If there are any questions, I could address them now, or I could come back to it.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, I know that there are a lot of people who play like backgammon and chess in the sort of lower left corner. Are there still going to be tables there for them?
Yes, President Pro Tem Wolfson, Commissioner Eberly, we will continue to maintain the number of picnic tables, if not improve on and expand to them. We know it gets heavily used, so we're going to maintain, in some cases, just improve it, replace the tables that are damaged, and there's some barbecue pit areas that have the hand washing and the sinks. We're going to replace all those with, new and upgrade improved amenities, so people can continue using the facility.
On the left side, is that picnic area, all the green section?
This area?
Yeah.
Commissioner Calfine, this area actually has a lot of picnic tables. It'll also have some group picnic tables as well, but it's kind of the open turf area where people bring their own tables and expand their existing parties if they want to have parties at this location. But yes, it will have a lot of tables.
Artificial turf?
No, sir. At this location, it'll be just regular grass turf, natural turf in this area. The artificial turf currently we only use at our sports facilities. Just the fact that we're able to manage it and maintain it a lot easier than natural turf, and extends the longevity of the field for play. And, we're able to enhance it because we don't have to shut it down 3 months out of the year for renovation. Individual teams and groups can get to use it for additional 1,400 hours a given year, extra 3 months.
I think we discussed this. Are the playgrounds designed so they don't disturb the neighborhood, close houses?
Yes, Commissioner Kalfaya, and as a matter of fact, given that the current playground is located kind of closer to Patterson Avenue, based on public input and based on our meetings with commission and public comments at commission and council, we shifted the playground to be more central to the park. As you can see, it is now moved to the center of the park to keep kids from running onto the street, as well as keep the noise level closer to the central part of the park and somewhat away from the residences.
Thank you.
One more question. I'm curious about it. Is pickleball holding strong with popularity? I know that there was sort of a surge recently. Are people still playing it a lot?
You know, Commissioner Eberly, it seems to be the case. Very active currently over at Pacific Park. That was our first pickleball court. We also have it at Glen Oaks. I believe we put them over at Griffith Manor as well. A lot of them were using the existing space, either a tennis court resurfaced, lined double with tennis and pickleball, and or a basketball court, basketball and pickleball. And yeah, we'd still see the activity. And to my surprise, a lot of other agencies and my colleagues I work with have been seeing an increase in the pickleball community and the activity. So, yes, it seems to be growing in popularity.
Anyone interested pickleball?
What's that?
Anyone has the interest in the pickleball?
If I may move on to the, all right, see, so Central Park Master Plan. This project was up until recently being managed by our Economic Development Department. It is essentially taking our adult recreation center, the Central Park area, what we currently call ARC. It is going to be enhancing the park. As you may know, the Armenian American Museum will be taking up a portion of the southern southwest corner of the facility. With that, we have designed a park that will encompass portions of the parking lot library and those drive paths. And the design has been approved by City Council. The final conceptual design right now, the consultant is working on the construction drawings for this project. And the project is being managed now with Public Works since we're in the CD phase, as well as involvement with Parks through the construction development phase. I also believe the American Museum, the Armenian American Museum, they're making progress at their end in submitting their designs for plan check and ready to start moving on the project. And this available budget thus far for this project is $2,350,000. As we fine-tune the project, start looking closer, we'll bring more updates to Commission as to what the project's starting to look like and as to the budget needs, which will be worked on by Community Development Department, Public Works, and Parks. And here's the master plan design. It is somewhat hard to determine here on from this photo, but what you have down here is our current adult recreation center. This location at the southern southwest end of the park is where the museum is going to be. The library is going to maintain its location, currently in the north. This location over here is where we're going to put the children's, a little water play feature, children's playground, what we're calling the forest park. It'll be a very wooded, foresty park. It's going to enhance, enhance the landscaping in this area, put more greenery at this location, as well as a large open turf area right down the middle of the park. We're going to have some activities over here for our seniors and our youth to be able to use, whether it be picnic tables and just sitting areas. And also keeping in mind that we have our Sister City Monument. It'll be a location for Sister City Monuments in this location as well.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
The funding for this is coming from just general fund, or how is that? You had a budgeted amount, and
President Pro Tem Wolfson, currently the budget for this project is $2.35 million. I believe this is the Development Impact Fee funds.
What's available now is DIF funds, the $2,350,000, but I know Economic Development, Community Development is working on securing additional funding through either the general fund or different types of grants available out there.
good. Thank you.
Cerritos Elementary School, multipurpose field. This is a joint use project with the Glendale Unified School District, one of 2 soccer and multipurpose fields that we are developing. This would provide a U12 artificial turf multipurpose field. It's looking at reconfiguring the existing playground area at the school site. They have turf location for kids to play. We'll be removing the turf. We'll relocate some of the amenities that are within the school property and build an artificial turf field that can be used by the school, as well as us, just like any other joint use agreement we have, afternoons and weekends by the community. It will be a lighted field, so we can use it in the evenings as well. The project budget is $3.4 million, and we're looking at estimating construction timeline of summer next year. We are currently in what we call the EIR phase. This project has the draft mitigated negative declaration completed. We're waiting to complete the joint use agreement with Glendale Unified School District. Once we complete the joint use agreement, then we'll be taking the MND to council and for public input to finalize that portion and start the designing of the project. And here's an overlay of what we might expect over at Cerritos Elementary. Along with this project, what I didn't mention is our existing restrooms at Cerritos Park will be expanded to accommodate the additional use. Currently, the Cerritos restroom is right at this location. We're going to enhance it a little bit and expand it because it is at this point not suited to use this level of activity, especially that we have the water play feature in the summer. We are experiencing a very heavy use. The restrooms will be upgraded to accommodate the use. And this is the location where currently they have turf. We'll be removing the turf, built artificial turf field with a rubberized running track for their activities. And all of these amenities, the play features, are currently at the school property. We'll just be relocating them to alternate sites to make room for the soccer field. And we're working closely with the district on the design as well as the selection of the type of turf, the type of material we're going to use for this field. Same with the Wilson Middle School field. The Wilson Middle School multipurpose field, this one will have a U14 artificial turf field as well as a practice field. This is a large turf area. We're able to divide it into 2 fields. It'll regrade the existing basketball court and add a restroom. And we're wanting to keep the school property separate from the activities we want to hold in the evenings and weekends. We'll be building a restroom in the area where the soccer fields are going to be. Again, this is along the same timeline. Construction estimated to commence 2021 summer. This project is a $5 million project, the budget. We are working on a updated traffic study as part of the EIR. This will be an environmental impact report, full environmental impact report. The traffic study is being upgraded so we can finalize it along with the joint use agreement, then take it for public comments and council approval. After which we will again go on to the designer selection, select a designer firm to start going down to conceptual design of the multipurpose field. And here's an overlay.
Just a quick question. What does that mean, U14 and?
That is a very good question. President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of commission, U12, U14 is a term we use to define the size of the artificial turf field that's going to be built. U14 is usually designed for under 14-year-old groups, so like middle school age people, and you can design it in a sense in such a way that you can cut it in half, even smaller, younger kids can play. But U14 is not necessarily like an adult size facility, regulation size FIFA field. U14 is more designed for younger 14-year-olds and under. U12 will be even smaller in size because it is designed for under 12-year-olds facilities. They all have their specific sizes at play, but that's what the U14, U12 really mean in terms of our.
Thank you.
And then what you see on this side is the proposed practice field. This will be the main field, and the proposed practice field will be here, which can be used as practice field, or for the younger players could also be a full soccer field too. And at this location will be the new restroom and storage for the equipment, grooming equipment necessary for the field. Glendale High School tennis court. This project was something we were working on some time back. We are now working closely with Glendale Unified School District, and they're going to take this on as part of the management of their facility. As you may know, they are working on an aquatic facility at Glendale High School, and this project is going to be molded into that project along with the aquatic facility. They are ready to start the bidding process for that project, And thus, once we finalize our joint use agreement and determine what the cost would be for the restrooms and the tennis courts, we're going to be working with them and adding this to that project. So the same project, the construction manager will be managing the same project at this facility as well. We're now estimating roughly $800,000 for the upgrades to the restroom and the tennis courts. It'll be resurfacing, the lighting, netting, some ADA paths of travel improvements for the facility. It'll upgrade 6 tennis courts. And again, we'll have an agreement in place to have our concessionaire run the tennis courts similar to what we do at Glen Oaks and Fremont. At this school district, the GHS course, it'll be late in the evenings on Monday through Friday, and on the weekends will be managed by the City of Glendale. Duke-Majan Barn Nature Education Center. Part of this project is to improve the barn and have it ready for programming. We have done quite the effort to bring it up to this point. We'll show you a picture of what the designs are looking like. We're finalizing that as we speak. IQ Magic is doing the construction drawings for the interior. And then Gwen Pugh Urban Design Studios, they've finalized the construction drawings for the restrooms. Part of the project, we're adding a restroom because to accommodate the amount of individuals we foresee utilizing the barn. It is a $2.04 million project. We're looking at mid-2020 next year with the construction of this project. And again, improvements will include the restroom, fixtures and furnitures inside the barn, and to make it a full nature education center. Oh, jump one too far. And here's what it looks like on a general sense. Here's the main entrance to the barn from the parking lot. Over here will be what we are referring to as the kind of the check-in and desk and store. You come in, a welcoming committee will be here. This is the center. We'll have a lot of educational activities, displays. Right here will be like a stadium-style folding seating where they could teach classes, pull the benches down, be able to show videos and teach classroom. This will be the back exit. The steps right down the middle will give you room for like a children's area and then more activities before you can actually walk out to the patio area and to the vineyard. We'll be happy to share more colored photos with the commission if you like to see them. I do believe this has 1 or 2 displays with colored. We do not have it here in this presentation. Lower Shoal Restroom and Picnic Area Rehabilitation. So with this project, we're looking at rehabilitating the existing restrooms to, Title 24 and ADA accessibility, as well as the picnic shelters in that area, looking at some improvement, paint job to the trellises, and then replacing the picnic tables for the facility. We're looking at spring 2020 for this construction. We have currently $450,000 in CIP funds dedicated to this process. We have finalized the construction drawings. It is currently being plan checked, and we're looking at getting them permits approved and get ready for bidding the project fairly soon. Same with Nibley Park. Title 24 and ADA accessibility upgrades are being designed. The restroom building and the walkway access to it. Same timeline as construction. We'll likely bid this project the same time, if not together. Spring 2020. This one is $350,000 in CIP funds, and it is going along at the same time frame as Lower Shoal. It is right now going through plan check, and we're looking at getting it ready for bidding this project. Pacific Park Shade and Water Play Feature. This is going to enhance the shade over at the playgrounds at Pacific Park, as well as within the pool area. Based on practice, we've seen some areas of the pool where we require a little more shade for either the parents or the children along the west side of the pool. So this will add the similar structures that we have there, similar in design, will add more shade in the pool, as well as the 2 playgrounds we have, 2 to 5-year-old tot lot, and the 5 to 12-year-old school-age children playground will have shade coverage on both. At the same time, we will be replacing the existing water play feature with, again, enhanced state-of-the-art water play feature that recycles water and treats it so we're not wasting a lot of water. This project is estimated at $1 million. We're using CIP, CDBG, and enterprise funds. We had the park enterprise funds before it collapsed last year. We'll be using some of those funds to pay for this project. And we are at about 65% construction drawings, looking at getting the approvals from the LA County Health Department on the water play feature. And as we start finalizing to 100%, we'll go through permitting and bid the project. Upper Shoal Canyon Ball Field, concession and restroom building. This project is plan checked, going through the final steps of the plan check with the building and safety. We're getting ready for the bid specifications. It will build a new concession building and a restroom building. Currently, restroom building in this park is in the far, direction-wise, west-northwest corner in the maintenance yard. We're going to be keeping that building as is, constructing a new restroom building between the two ball fields, fields 2 and 3, and down the road look at doing something with that area, maintaining a garage, maintaining space for us to be able to run the operation, as well as looking at enhancing that area for additional amenities for park goers. Currently, this is budgeted at $650,000 using the enterprise funds. And here's a sketch of what to expect. As you can see, between fields 2 and 3 is where the new restroom is going to be, along with the concession stand. And this is, again, a sketch of the artwork from our designer, what to expect. Verdugo Park, North renovation. We've been to commission and council with this project over the years, as you know, the last couple of years. Based on commission input, public input, and council's direction, we are finalizing the scope of this project, the design of this project. David Wolf's design is working on that as we speak, and we are soon be able to take that final design and get it all the approvals in place, start doing the construction drawings. It's looking like construction bid documents to be completed and ready for construction spring of 2020. This budget is $3,825,000, and it includes the replacement of the existing playground and the restroom structure with new all-inclusive playground. And the restroom building will be, up to ADA standards. It'll be included a community building, small community building, and a restroom, along with some storage for the equipment we have and the stuff we need for the children as we do day camps at that location. It'll have, additional picnic tables, passive travel, and some improved picnic areas in that one location. We're only focusing on one area of the park based on community input, and the community garden, we will maintain it at its existing location, yet improve it to look more similar to what we have over at Palmer Park and Maryland Park. Pacific Park Artificial Turf Project. This project will take the existing baseball field, convert it to multi-purpose field for U12 soccer as well as Little League baseball. This project is looking, again, bid documents ready for construction late 2020. It's a $1.8 million project. And as we mentioned before, artificial turf tends to increase playability of the facility. And at this facility, by about 3 months, will increase playability, and looking at about additional 1,380 hours of playtime, not counting the downtime after rains. In these fields, after it rains, they drain and are ready to be played within, in some cases, half hour to 1 hour. Currently, when it rains, a lot of our fields are shut down for some cases 1 day, 2, up to 3 to 4 days, depending on the level of rain. That is the benefit of having the artificial turf. We don't get to cancel games. Children can continue to play on our facilities. And this project, we're finalizing the professional services agreement. David Volt's design was the awardee for this contract, and it is currently going under legal review. Once the PSA is done, we'll start working on the design documents for this project. And here's a sketch of what we anticipate it to look like. Baseball field with the inlay of soccer field in the outfield area. Montrose Park parking resurfacing. We're looking at upgrading the parking lot at Montrose Park. There are a lot of areas where the parking lot has been lifted by the tree roots. We're going to be tearing it all out, resurfacing it. We're doing some electrical upgrades, the conduits, the wiring, as well as irrigation upgrades for this facility. This is being projected by the engineering section of the Public Works Department, and estimated at about $1.5 million. We recently sent out the RFP for getting a consultant on board to design the irrigation. The survey of the park was done in-house by our Public Works engineering team. And the rest of it is currently under design phase, and we're looking at having this designed in the coming months. Similarly, at Dunsmore Park, Dunsmore has a lot of areas on the parking lot that the asphalt could use help. We'll be tearing the asphalt and resurfacing it. making it up to the latest ADA standards, as well as meeting with the school, the elementary school. They asked for some improvements to the egress and the exits of the facility. We're working on some of their requests and making sure it's all accommodated. There's, safe walking paths and their advanced warning system for the parking lot exit ramps so that people exiting can be aware of pedestrians walking along the path as well. This is another project being managed by our Public Works engineering team. Also, a survey was done in-house by the same team, and we're looking at doing the preliminary design and cost estimates in the coming months to finalize the project. And then cost estimates will be determined based on the final scope and design as we finalize it coming forth. There are a couple of projects that we did not put on here that are still capital projects. One is the sports complex field number 3, going through the same process as the Pacific Park. We're looking at doing a artificial turf multipurpose field, softball and soccer. Very early stages. We're sending out RFPs for that to get consultants on board for the design element of it. And as you know, the other project we're working on is already in the mix. It is manufactured, the Heritage Garden playground structure. We're still within the timeline of having it constructed in the next couple of months, but currently is going through the permit check, and the manufacturing is already done, ready to go. As soon as we have the permits, construction will commence. That is it in a nutshell.
Where is the Heritage Garden?
The Heritage Garden is in the corner of Harvard and Cedar. It is, if you're familiar with what used to be the Cedar Bungalows. I wish I had a map to show. I actually have a map, and I will show you in my next presentation for upgrades within Cedar Park. So,
I have one other question / comment.
Please.
Which is that I don't know how many people who don't play sports are aware of the joint use facilities, and will you do some kind of grand opening or something when those fields are ready to go to bring people onto the fields and let them know they can use them?
Yes, President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the commission, when all of these projects are completed, we will definitely have a grand opening similar to what we did at Riverwalk, the Shane's Inspiration Playground. It's a feel-good project, having additional fields. Once when Fremont is built, hopefully in the next 18 to 24 months, all of our projects that are completed, we go ahead and have a grand opening special event.
And for the commission's information, we already have numerous requests by groups to start utilizing the fields that have not been constructed yet. So there's a very high demand. The community is to some degree aware that, these fields are in plan or, design and construction phase. So we will be getting quite a bit of requests from the community to fill the...
Sorry, I think people who play know. It's just, I don't know if people who, want to go for a walk understand they can use the track and that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. We'll make sure the public knows.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 6B, section activity reports. One is recreation and community services.
My mic's off. President Pro Tem Wilson, members of the commission, just wanted to run through some of the events programs that we had in the month of August in the recreation section. National Night Out is a designated evening where communities across America come together to stand against crime, drugs, and disorder in their neighborhoods. And this year, the event was on August 6th from 5 p.m. to 7:30. Our department helped out at 2 park locations. We know that the event is held in various neighborhoods throughout the city of Glendale, but specifically, the Parks Department helps coordinate one of the larger events, which takes place at Pacific Community Center. And we also help support by providing the LED screen at Nibley Park. At Pacific Community Center, there's a lot of staff coordination, and our Youth and Family Services section takes up this opportunity to set up a resource fair with informational tables where community organizations that we work with are also out there helping promote the services that they provide, specifically to teens as well. So we had the climbing wall there and also carnival games. The next event was our summer concert series came to an end, and this was the 5th consecutive year since the event was back. We had it before, we had budget cuts, and then we brought it back. This event was every Wednesday for 6 weeks, and the last one was on August 14th, and it was Bobby and the Gypsies, and it was probably one of the most popular ones in the series. And we averaged out about 500 participants at the various concerts this year. The Maple Park All-Inclusive Playground grand opening, I know Coco mentioned it, was held on August 17th. We had over 100 members of the community who came out for this first ever all-inclusive playground at Maple Park. We had various speakers. We even had Senator Portantino, Assemblymember Friedman, and LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger's office, who presented certificates to the department. And we featured informational tables from various city departments and organizations within the community who provide services for the children and children with disabilities. So it was a really great event and well attended. As you're aware, the senior centers, which are Adult Recreation Center and also Spar Heights, celebrate various holidays and specific seasons. And in this particular month, we held a Summer Luau celebration on August 15th at both ARC and Spar Heights. And the seniors got to enjoy Polynesian chicken with jasmine rice and pineapple upside down cake for dessert. It was a great event, and the seniors love it because it gives them an opportunity to party and enjoy time with their friends. And as you can see, they're always happy for the various activities that the department has planned. The Therapeutic Recreation Center held its Farewell to Summer Barbecue on August 29th, and this was at Maple Park Community Center, and it was from 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's a barbecue, and we had over 100 participants, and this specific population is always excited and happy, and we get a great turnout, and so that was on August 29th. The Youth and Family Services section, we have two teen night out. Twice a month we have teen night out. It's every other Friday. And in August, we had two. And the one on August 2nd, we had Adventist Health Glendale Foundation who did a presentation on healthy food choices. Participants got to ask questions and learn about healthy, nutritious food and a healthy diet. The Teen Night Out program, it's every other Friday from 5 to 9 p.m. at Pacific Community Center. And we try to bring out a speaker at least at one of the events on various topics. And we collaborate with organizations that provide services to youth or that work with GUSD. And so we'll always have a speaker out for one of those events. We also, the teens also, as part of the Teen Night, the Youth and Family Services program, are able to help volunteer. And in August, the teens helped us with National Night Out. They helped us promote the event, talk to the teens, and also assisted with setting up for the event and breaking down the event and helping staff with working the climbing wall. This is a great opportunity for the teens to provide community service and gives them something to do other than being out with nothing to do and possibly getting in trouble. So this helps the department and also teaches responsibility and gives them something to do on a Friday night. We also, between May and July, the Youth and Family Services section held a teen photo contest, and the teens were encouraged to share photos best depicting Glendale life or photos that gave them inspiration. And the staff reviewed the photos and selected 7 winners, and the winners were announced at National Night Out, and the winners had an opportunity to go to Speed Zone. So this is a picture of the 7 teens who were the winners for that photo contest. And unfortunately, I didn't have pictures of the photos to share with you. We'll make sure to have those for the future. On Saturday, August 10th, the STAR students, we had 12 STAR students and their families who participated in an annual end of summer barbecue at Pacific Community Center. They enjoyed great food, water games, and raffle prizes, and the families got to have fun with the kids and meet other parents of STAR students. Overall, it was a wonderful event. Also the STAR students on the 24th, August 24th, a group of 14 STAR students assisted the Glendale Police Department with graffiti removal and cleanup at 2 locations. One was at Fremont Park, the tunnel at Fremont Park, and a tunnel at Justin and Emmons Street in Glendale. This is a great opportunity for, again, community service, but also a great way to teach the youth the importance of taking care of their community and not tagging and vandalizing. And so hopefully, with hard work and helping clean up the graffiti, they could also talk to their friends and tell them why it's important to take care of their community and not vandalize. So this was, and it's great for the department as they're assisting us. The Trails and Open Space section, we provide a Riverwalk work day once a month, and on this specific, in August, it happened to be on August 7th. We had 4 volunteers who joined staff down by the river. It was a low attendance for this specific event because most of the time during the summer months with the summer vacations and families taking vacation and it being really hot outside, we may not get great turnout, which in this case there was only 4 volunteers, but it is a popular event, popular program. The group focused on removing puncture vine and also removing castor bean and fountain grass that was found on the site, cleared heavy grass infestations in and around the landscape plants, trimmed roses, and removed dandelions. It's great help for Coco section as well, and so this is a lot of community hours that helps the staff in doing some of that maintenance. And just as a reminder, the Trails and Open Space programs are sponsored by the Glendale Parks and Open Space Foundation as well. We also had Wilderness Work Day on August 24th. It was a really hot day, triple-digit temperatures, but we had 17 volunteers who came out to help water the trees and weeding for invasive plants and refilling the water bottles for the next event the next day. And again, we have larger turnouts when school's in session because a lot of the students will come out for community service hours, and also it's not hot. So in this particular time, we only had 17 volunteers, but it's still a lot of help. And I know that their focus is going to also be looking at cutting down the invasive plants to open up the trails, because I know that the last time I was there and we, in talking to staff, for some of the trees, the pathway to the trees is covered by weeds that have grown. So we're going to focus on removing those weeds and opening up the way to the trees. And so the staff does, the community does a great job with helping us water and remove the invasive species. On August 10th, we had the Perseid Meteor Shower viewing party held at Duke-Majan Wilderness Park. We had 3 telescopes there which were provided by the Columbia astronomers. And I know Commissioner Eberly, I believe you were there at this specific event. People got to view the craters of the moon, Jupiter, and its 4 Galilean moons, and Saturn with its rings. Not a lot of people were maybe able to see the meteors, but there was, I believe the moon was bright that day. I wasn't out there, but I know that the moon was bright and they weren't necessarily able to see it, but it was really well attended. We had over 100 people there, and there was also crafts for the children. That concludes the August activities for this month. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
The next item is 6B2, Park Services.
Good afternoon again, President Pro Tem Wolfson, members of the Commission. For the month of August, our crews completed 126 work orders for a total of 1,165 hours of a special non-routine preventative project-related work. Groundskeepers completed 81 work orders, irrigation repair crew 41, and pest application 4 work orders. We've identified a couple of the projects for you. So first on Verdugo Road, this was a very a simple project, yet I think it was, for the community, it was very worthy. As you remember last time, we presented the turf installation, but one of those things we talked about was a sign. This is the Spar Heights District sign that was damaged via an accident some time back. And we took it upon ourselves to take the sign down. And after speaking to some community individuals in the organization, they accepted for us to make the changes. And I've had conversations with Commissioner Michaels as well, who encouraged this to move forward. We have repaired the sign and put it back in its place. Now, Verdugo Road, we still have plans for the northern section of Verdugo Road to do some landscape enhancements. Not grass, because we cannot put grass where we have potable water. This is south was reclaimed water, hence we could put grass. Future landscaping will be coming in the north. And we have a similar sign in the northern section of this Verdugo Road. So it looks very similar. We'll probably even leave it as is, and or if there's a need, we'll reconstruct it to look similar to this one down in the south end. Verdugo Park, softball field renovations. It had been a while since we had made renovations to this softball field. This is actually not just softball, it's open turf. There's a lot of soccer activity, groups come in and play. It is a large turf area. But we focused a lot in the infield skin area. We needed to install a new quick coupler and required moving of a valve to make all the controls a bit more efficient. So the trenching of the entire area, the valves were moved to the very corner, and yes, that individual is about 6 feet underground to be able to make all the connections possible. As they finalized putting in the new valve to control this location, it isolated a few different things, allowed us to be more efficient in how we are watering the facility. The focus was the baseball field, but we found that the one of the valves that waters the turf on the baseball field, the south end of the baseball field, was also watering literally past the baseball field, past the walkway, the same valve. So we figured the only efficient way to do it is keep the baseball field separate in a separate valve and isolate those two sites as well. So it became a larger project than we anticipated, but our guys were able to get through it and have it all finalized. The skin, which is the dirt area of the softball field, it was laser graded, and the rest of the field was, this is still the valve installation to the south of the facility. We prepared the arc area and we laid sod, approximately about 6,000 square feet of flood in the arc, because that is the very first end of between the skin and the outfield. We like to have it nicely turfed. We did have grass the rest of it. What we had to do for the rest of the facility is aerate it. We had to put some seed, the topper, fertilizer, and be able to, have it, let it sit and grow. This is already top dressed, ready to go. And after watering it in, this is the most current picture of the facility. This was over the weekend, and Armin was able to take a picture, but it was set up for soccer practices. So we asked the management to take another picture today to send it in. And he actually took a very nice picture with the sun rays. But the turf project here is finished. Now the same crew is working at the sports complex. We're doing some renovations on Field 3 Sports Complex, and as well as Dunsmore Baseball Field. Those two projects are currently in progress. At Car Park, we had mentioned, this is the exit to South Park, we had mentioned we're going to do some renovations at Car Park. What has happened here is, inclusive of our staff, police, public works trucks, individuals find this path a lot easier to be able to exit on the grass, which created the damage to the grass as you see. So we needed to come in and do upgrades and make sure people don't use it. So first things first, we came down and graded and leveled the area, put in additional dirt. We seeded, sodded, adjusted the irrigation. So this is what it looks like now. What you don't see in this picture is at the entrance where most people were using, there was on this corner, there was a trash can, a concrete trash can. Staff moved the concrete trash can to the middle of that path. So now people have trouble maneuvering around it and will be forced to use the path to exit the park. So we're hoping this keeps people off of our grass. We also found that a couple of the corners, as the drive path goes through the park, they're narrow. It is not very wide. And along the curves that they have, at times the wheels of the trucks are kind of leaning over and damaging the grass and whatever is there. So we determined the best way to fix that is we extend the concrete in that little area. Now, we probably might have to do this again in a couple of other locations along the path. Wherever the curves are and the wide curves, we'll probably extend the concrete to allow for the truck wheels to stay on the concrete as we go forth. We also did some complete irrigation adjustments for the entire park. This is the open turf areas. We aerated. What the aeration does is actually takes cores out of the grass, and it allows the grass to breathe easier. This helps with compaction of the facility. Now, with the coring and adding the seed and fertilizers, we're able to get this turf starting to come back, and as you can see, starting to green up in that facility. We currently have projects for the north end of car park along the fence, and in the entrance we'll be doing some landscape enhancements as well. So car park, there's more to come, as well as some additional picnic tables as requested by the neighbors. We're looking at that down the road as well. Heritage Garden. This is at the corner of Cedar and East Harbor Street. Commissioner Eberly, as you were asking, that corner 3 lots is where the park is located. We had 2 projects ongoing here and 1 to come. This was the area where we had the sandbox as we removed all the sand and prepped it for the installation of our exercise fitness equipment. Public Works helped us in pouring the concrete, getting it ready, and the manufacturer helped us with identifying their locations and working with our staff in getting the installation complete. And after the first day was installed, the fitness equipment was already being used by the community. And they're great. Depending on your ability, there's little knobs of adjustment. You can adjust what type of energy and force you can use on these 7 pieces of equipment that we have at this location. And we did also put in a rules and regulation sign, as with all of our other sites. So the public using the exercise fitness equipment, we encourage them to take a look at this and read it. The do's and don'ts, so you don't really hurt yourself as you are exercising. So we do have the rules posted there as well. And as requested by our commission, we talked about the shade at this facility. And we did plant the wisteria plants, but in addition to expedite the shade for the facility, we talked about advancing the trellis, adding more of the wooden planks. This was as it existed. Again, it was intended for the shade to cover the wisteria or whatever ivy they had to cover it. As we came through, based on commission requests, we started adding more planks, roughly about 8 inches apart from each other, so that we have along both walkways and the actual seating area completed. So we have a lot more shade now, as it stands, than we did previously. And this is a completed product of the job done by our crews, the project crews. And we've noticed that based on the irrigation improvements we did by providing water to each individual wisteria plant, we're seeing that grow a lot faster than we normally would. So we're anticipating within the next couple of years this entire area to be covered with the ivy and provide permanent shade. So with Commission's requests, we were able to accommodate that as part of the project. We did some improvements at Pacific Park. Now, we have talked about our challenges with weeds around our properties, with the loss of our ability to use Roundup, and the amount of rain we received. It became a challenge at every one of our facilities. Pacific Park was nonetheless one of our sites, and a lot more focus we paid on the baseball field before we were able to turn it over and have the season, commence. Mostly by our project crews working with the staff dedicated to Pacific Park, we came in and we relined the entire field. What you see here, there's a string. Anything outside of the string, the grass should not be growing there. So almost did a TLC to the entire park by relining where things are supposed to be. This is the area of the running track. Shouldn't be any grass growing, but it still does. So our staff had to come in, tear it all up, reline it, identify the areas where the skin is supposed to be, where the warning track is supposed to be, and provided the facility ready to play for the league by the season is started. At the same time, while we were here at this park, we did some additional improvements to the perimeter of the park, the school site, interior of the school, the perimeter of the school, with all of the planters that were heavily weeded. So our crews went through and completely removed all of the weeds, lifted the trees in the area, make it more accessible to the public, because it did have a lot of low-hanging branches. And throughout the perimeter of the park, the pool, and the school, they were able to go in and clear all of the planter beds of weeds. And we're looking at continuing with this challenge of maintaining the facility as it's supposed to be. At the Civic Auditorium, north end of the parking structure, there were a couple of trees that had died over the years, so our crews went in and replaced those trees. This is near parking lot 33, right before the College Bridge. Again, north end of the structure, we planted 4 trees at this location to enhance the overall aesthetics of the area. And this location, just in front of the parking structure, is scheduled for future landscape enhancements as well. Also, the south end of Civic Auditorium. If you visit the Civic, you'll notice the north end, we had done the landscape improvements. It's looking quite well. Comparison to in front of the parking structure in the south. Again, those are in our work plan for the coming months. At Palmer Park, we are getting ready to do some turf rehabilitation. These areas, actually, we had more landscape and just mulch, and it just didn't seem to do so very well. This is just south end of the playground by the skate park. There are 3 areas that we've adjusted the irrigation, removed all the planting, and have it graded, ready to go, and we will be sodding these areas in the coming weeks so we can have a much more aesthetically pleasing looking facility outside the wading pool area, south of the playground area currently, and near the skate park. And this is the 3rd location in that facility. Brand Park at the koi pond, we're constantly doing improvements. And what we ended up noticing is, as you see all of the river rock and the stones that are placed, we noticed there is some leaks between the stones. So staff had to come in, put some concrete patching to avoid the water leaking to locations that we don't want it, maintain it in the pond. So this project was completed to keep the water flowing naturally back into the koi pond. And again, there's a couple of pictures of the koi pond as it currently exist. And thanks to Armin for taking most of these nice pictures that we foresee here. And that is the conclusion of my project presentation. We have a number of projects that I said already in play. Car Park, we'll finish the landscaping. Palmer Park, we will be finalizing the playground structure. And turf improvements over at Adams Mini, turf improvements at Maryland, Doran Mini Park, they're all lined up in the next coming months. So that's the end of my presentation, if you have any questions.
Thank you for continuing to expand your photography skills to your staff.
Thank you.
Not just your pictures, but now we're seeing the pictures from staff improve. It does help demonstrate the projects.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no further comments, I think we are adjourned.